The Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Agreement Bill legislation designed to codify a new regional CIP treaty and establish unified penalties to strengthen program integrity across the OECS elicited visceral debate in Parliament on Tuesday. Former Prime Minister Alan Chasney offered support for the overarching regional framework but used this time to castigate the current administration for the program's woes and delinquent reporting obligations.
These are things that we should have been doing for ourselves. And how is it we've now find ourselves in this bind now that we're now going to have to be answerable to an authority? An authority, Mr. Speaker.
On game regulators.
On basic things, approving your contracts. All the things that people have been saying that we should have been doing here. Now all of a sudden, because of the pressure, you're having to sign to the regulatory authority, and the same things that you've been opposing, now you've already agreed to them.
However, the government benches quickly disputed Chasney's lecture, pointing instead to the aggressive deregulation that occurred under his watch between 2017 and 2020. Housing Minister Richard Frederick explained that the regulatory bill represents uniform regional legislation binding all CIP jurisdictions, not a unilateral St. Lucian initiative, and pointedly referenced the former Prime Minister's past administrative failures.
What did he do as Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker? What did he do? And all of that was in the interest of transparency. For the St. Lucians to know exactly what the passport monies were being put to. He amended the legislation. He amended it, Mr. Speaker, so that he did not need parliamentary approval to tell him how to spend the passport money. But he speaks of now corruption.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony introduced a constitutional dimension to the debate, while assigning blame to Chasney for precipitating the crisis years ago. He warned that vesting regulatory authority in the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank represents a potential overreach that could diminish the policy autonomy of member states. Current Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre provided perhaps the most poignant moment in the debate, becoming visibly emotional while recounting the perceived scorch of UWP opposition rhetoric recently employed against the program. He believes this undermined public confidence in a comprehensive financing mechanism.
One man believed that he had a pathway to political power using the CIP program. I'll tell you why, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, I have listened, Mr. Speaker, very carefully. I have seen interviews. I have seen things written on social media, Mr. Speaker. I have felt the pain, Mr. Speaker, of this program, Mr. Speaker. I have heard speak.
Minister for Tourism.
Investment Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire concluded the debate on the regional bill by emphasizing what he sees as the inescapable reality, the regional price war and policy rollbacks that emerged in the late 2010s under Chasney's stewardship created market conditions that no single administration could unilaterally correct. He contended these rollbacks triggered a destructive regional competition that proved exceedingly difficult to reverse once market expectations had been recalibrated. Moreover, he hammered Chasney for the perceived relentless attacks on the program during the current SLP administration.
But do you know why things like that are necessary? Because under your government, a Chinese due diligence firm was appointed in this country. Under your government. And when we came in, we had to terminate the agreement. You did it. And then you call people corrupt and mismanagement. When you did it, the Chinese firm, who appointed the Chinese firm? What date and what date were they terminated? Tell St. Lucians. When you're going to accuse people of mismanagement and corruption and why this is necessary, tell them what you did to create the conditions for it. What did you do to create the conditions?
Investment Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire, who moved the regional bill, also introduced for second reading a separate citizenship by investment bill amendment. This domestic bill seeks to reinstate oversight policies that the SLP government says were dismantled by the Shastny administration here in St. Lucia.